Alright, I got the front glasses pretty much mocked up right now and tack welded on the sides. You can see it's a little squirrely right here. Got some gaps, but I'll use the jack to kind of close them up. Overall, that went okay. Took a little bit of a beating to get in there, but got 3/16 of armor in the front now, so that should be able to take down any trees that come in my way. But other than that, it's looking pretty good. Alright, I'm going to start mounting the engine now. Basically, I just got on this little hoist that's hanging off a 2x6. So obviously if you have a cherry picker or something, that'd be a lot better. But anywho, basically what I got is a Toyota 20R that I got from Craigslist. It came off of a running unit, and it did run, but I got rid of the old, that emissions crap carburetor deal with all the vacuum lines going everywhere, and I just replaced it with the simple Weber carburetor, which now it runs pretty good. Actually runs awesome. But the reason for the Toyota 20i was just for the compactness, and it's a longitudinal engine. It's not a front-wheel drive transversal mount engine. Pretty simple. They're really reliable. I mean, rock crawler guys love them. Mudders love them too. But I had to change out the motor mounts here because I thought I originally could get by with the old ones, but they're pretty much torn apart to the point where the vulcanized bond to the steel is pretty much shot. So I had to get new motor mounts, and then I got it in a pretty good location. And I got a radiator here. Basically, I think this is from like a 1990 something Nissan Altima vehicle. So obviously if I were to do this again, I would definitely get a cheap Craigslist car, like a $400, doesn't matter if it's transversal engine or what, maybe a Honda Civic or something with like 200 something thousand miles on it, because 50,000 miles on an all-terrain vehicle is pretty good. But yeah, I would definitely do that, because then you'll get all the components, batteries, radiator, seats, linkages, pedals, a whole bunch of stuff, dashes, speedometers, all the instrumentation that comes with it. Definitely would be worth the $500 compared to just piecing and parting individual parts and putting it together. That's definitely the way to go there if you're able to. But yeah, this is a Nissan Altima radiator, so it's definitely bigger than the stock Toyota 20R, which will be awesome because we're going to be in a little constrained area here, so we have to worry about airflow and cooling capacity. But yeah, basically this is what I'm thinking, just mounting the radiator like so, and then I'll have ductwork that'll kind of come out probably around here somewhere, so then all the air can come down through and then pass through the radiator, cooling the engine, hopefully efficiently. Yep, I got in a pretty good spot now, so what I'll do is I'll tack weld these motor mounts here. Because one thing I gotta pay attention to is enough room, because I'm probably gonna put a piece of tube steel there to support my hitch. So that's going to be where the hitch is going to be mounted, probably around right here. And then I gotta pay attention to my drive shaft length to leave enough clearance for my drive shaft. That'll be coming off of that second transmission there for lower gear ratio. Hopefully I don't blow that transmission up, but if I do, I'll delete it and just run a straight drive shaft. Alright, I got my motor mounts all tacked up on the front here. I guess you could call it the rear, but anywho, I'm going to start working on the transmission mount. Basically what I did is I just locked up the stock one just because I'm going to be using a chain coupler instead of a U-joint. So chain couplers have a lot less forgiveness in terms of misalignment, because once this engine starts torquing and rocking, I have a feeling I'm going to start breaking chains or something. Just wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to happen, because that guy is going to be locked solid, the secondary transmission there on the front bell housing. But yeah, I'm going to build it out of, I'm going to torch a little bracket here out of 1/4-inch steel. It's just a piece of scrap that I found at work, and I'll just drill out the holes for those, I don't know what they are, M10s or something. But yeah, I'll get that going, bolt it all up, put it under the transmission, measure how much tube steel I need to raise it up, and pretty much got the drivetrain in. As you can tell, it's got two 4-speed transmissions, that then go off to your final differential axle over there. But starting here with the actual power plant, it's a 1980 Toyota 20R 4-cylinder gasoline engine, or I guess you call it spark ignition engine if you want to be technical. The mounts are just pieces of tube steel and a kind of a 1/2-inch bar gusset welded up there. Got new motor mounts because the old ones from the 1980s were pretty much shot. Pretty much, I mean, besides getting this thing running, I gotta do some electrical and I gotta hook up the cooling. The cooling, since I actually didn't have a vehicle I pulled this off of, this is I just got off of Craigslist, just the engine itself. So it ended up being very expensive to do this. So obviously in the future, if I were to do this again, I would definitely get like a $500 Craigslist car, just so I can get all the parts that come with the car. You know, seats, controls, pedals, all that fun stuff. But yeah, this is actually a radiator from a 1998 Nissan Altima. So it's definitely got really good cooling capacity, definitely bigger than the stock, which will be good because it's going to be pretty tight around here. Basically the radiator will be mounted like that, and then probably we'll have some ductwork to kind of funnel all the airflow through the radiator for more efficient cooling. But yeah, Weber carburetor, keep things simple, got rid of all that vacuum emissions stuff. Moving up, new slave cylinder for the clutch throwout. I was originally thinking of doing mechanical, but I was like, you know what, it's built for that, so I might as well make it simple. I already got brake line and stuff, so. To the foot mount on the transmission, the 4-speed, this is the OEM 4-speed transmission here. I actually locked it up. I don't know if you can see that. I got a piece of 1/2-inch bar and I just locked it up on the isolator mount because I have a chain coupler and I was worried about angular misalignment once that thing starts moving around. But yeah, this is a 4-speed out of a Ford Ranger. It's actually a Mazda built unit. We will have to see if this thing grenades or not, because I've had issues in the past where I had these 2-speed or 2 transmission setups, and obviously the last one would always fail. It was actually 2 Muncie transmissions that were inline, and then obviously the one getting the most torque grenaded. But this is it's a pretty stout unit, so I think this should do pretty good as long as I don't use and abuse it. But yeah, this thing was just shimmed up with just random bits and pieces until I got this chain coupler in a pretty good location where you can just freely move it up and down. So that turned out pretty nice. I gotta switch out this Imperial hardware with metric because these are actually M10s, not 3/8. But moving forward, I kept the isolator mount on this transmission end so it can wiggle back and forth. It's just a piece of 1/4-inch steel and little foot pegs that weld down from there. Obviously, I gotta take this thing off to fully weld everything before we actually send torque down the driveline. And then on the final drive shaft, this is actually the same drive shaft off the Ford Ranger. I kept the stock slip yoke length, and I mean, all I did was I probably should have done less throw out here. The main reason I did that is so then you can push this whole assembly backwards so it clears the pinion nut on the differential here. But yeah, this is all tacked up. The U-joints are in phase and ready to go. I'll probably have some additional torque support structures. Like the original Ford Explorer had like an anti-torque bar on the differential here, which is what I'll probably do as well. And then I'll probably add another anti-torque member on this dampener, this isolator right here. And then obviously fully weld up all the ladder frame units. The main reason why I had a piece of tube steel go across this is once again that torque. I mean, obviously it is pretty tough 1/8-inch steel, but you'll be surprised what torque can do to some of this steel. It'll just start pulling it and twisting it. So anything I can help mitigate that here in the shop, be less work, field fixing I'll have to do. But yep. I mean, besides that, I just got to get the engine running. It hasn't ran in, oh gosh, 2 years, but it's a Toyota, and it's a 20R, so I'm not expecting any huge issues with the whole startup procedure. But yep, from there on, I did get one track done this week. I do not have a video, unfortunately. Maybe I'll make a video of the next one that I'll build this week. But it turned out pretty good. It's definitely, once you see it in person, it's a lot bigger track than I anticipated. But yeah, like I said, the only thing I'm worried about is throwing a track, just because of the shallowness of the track guides. Usually, like on the Russian ATVs, they have them come up like at, I don't know, 80, 70 degrees. Mine are at 55 degrees. But then again, some of the ATVs actually run a shorter pitch length with shallower guides in terms of height, but they run at 45 degree. So who knows, maybe I'll be alright. Hopefully I will. But yeah, it's turned into quite the machine.